everybody. Welcome back to the webinar series, Understanding the New Charter of Aged Care Rights. This has proudly been brought to you by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network. There's a large number of you today. We've nearly got 500 people watching us today, guys, so that's fantastic. Way to go, workforce, I say.
Thanks for dialing in.
Yeah, and what's really important is that we have Q&A. So we want your voice to help us and as a collaborative drive aged care into the future and drive this new Charter of Aged Care Rights and give those amazing, wonderful people out there a voice that they need to have to say what they want in their own aged care. My name is Marie Montgomery and I'm your facilitator today and over the community events across Australia. So there's still time to get some tickets for those. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, on which we are meeting here today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to any elders out there joining our community via webinar today. By attending this webinar, you will learn what are rights, who is OPAN and why they are involved in the rollout. We're going to discuss advocacy and really tease that apart because that's really important going forward. The Charter and the benefits of the new Charter, and also the Charter and quality standards, looking at each of the 14 rights, and we discuss our favourite right, signing these and some timelines. But most importantly, and what this video is about today, is about your ability to get these rights and have a discussion and a communication with an older person, and we're here to help. Excellent. Enough of me, and let me introduce this amazing panel. They are the sages in the room. To my left, I have Pat Joyce, and she's an advocate manager for Seniors' Rights Service and does an amazing job. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
And Maria Berry. Maria is consumer representative and founder of Communities of Respect, and that's really, it gets a lot of respect from me, Maria. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
And then Craig Gear, CEO of OPAN, Older Persons Advocacy Network. So I'm going to ask you ladies first, and Craig, I'll come to you shortly. But tell me a little bit about yourselves, where you've come from, what brings you here today, and I guess why are you so passionate about aged care?
Well, it's great to contemplate that question. So I've come from a background in nursing, been a registered nurse for 30 years, including aged care. And I fell into this role 12 years ago, which is it's a natural progression for me. So I love visiting aged care homes and all the residents, talking to people at home, struggling to stay at home and find some services and to speak out if things aren't right. And that's what we find. Older people are more vulnerable when they're getting older and more frail, and they won't speak up. So you don't know what's bothering them, you don't know how to help them. So we're that voice for them. So I just love the role of advocacy, and I've got a great team. There's 8 of us around New South Wales now, so we're available to help with the Charter, talking about rights, the role of advocacy, and how to sort things quickly and get on top of things quicker than before they all boil over.
Yeah, very important role. Excellent. Thank you, Pat. Maria.
I'm Maria Berry. My background is in nursing, working with older people. I have been volunteering for the last 10 years, coming up anniversary as a health consumer representative, and I've also been the carer for my ageing parents and have been a consumer out there trying to navigate our system. I'm also currently working in a healthcare role. So I see the whole circle and the effects that all of this is having with a bigger, a good view.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Excellent. Thank you. Now, just to remind you, in your right-hand corner, you're going to find a little chat button. That's there for you to give us your Q&A. I've got my phone right here, and this is where the texts are going to be coming through. I'm not just, texting off and being rude. So please send us your Q&A. Again, we are building this around what you direct us with your Q&A, and we can answer a myriad of questions. So, Craig, I'm now going to get over to you. So I guess not only who are you and what your passion is, but who is OPAN and why are they involved in the rollout of the new Charter of Aged Care Rights?
Thanks, Marie. And I too come from a health background and also a health management background. And at one point I was working in the sort of management of health services within the prison system in New South Wales. And what that sort of gave me a passion for is to try and make sure that people get the best service possible, whatever environment they're living in. The Older Persons Advocacy Network, for those who don't know it, is the organisation that provides the Commonwealth's National Aged Care Advocacy Program, or NACAP, it's often called. And we've got 9 state and territory organisations. Seniors' Rights is one of them in New South Wales. We have ERA in Victoria, or Advocare. 2 in the Northern Territory, so Catholic Care around Alice Springs and Darwin Community Legal Service in Darwin. So there's a provider in each area. These are services that provide education, information and individual support to older people and their families to be able to raise their voice and, I suppose, navigate through the aged care system. So OPAN saw that being and partnering with, I suppose, implementation of and education of the Charter of Aged Care Rights was a really important thing, because it's a tool that our aged care advocates use every day. We've got about 60 advocates across the country.
Great.
And they use it every day to go out and talk to people about what their rights are and why those are important. Which we'll chat about today, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent. So, I mean, we've got an advocate in the room. We are an advocacy service. You're a consumer advocate. But when we tease it out, what is an actual advocate? Pat.
Well, an aged care advocate is very specific. We're not generalist. We're specific to aged care service recipients, and that's what our role is. So we stand by the person. We're not mediators, so we stand next to the person who's contacting us, their family, their representative. We also talk to aged care providers and give from the consumer's perspective. So that's our role, to stand beside the older person, give them strength, buddy them up, give them information so they can make informed choices, and there'll be some sort of options and choices we can give them no matter what situation you have, or even a good referral. And then we could help raise their issues, get clear about their rights and some responsibilities as well, and speak up for them if they can't, or haven't got the strength, or they're tired of fighting, which often they are.
It's exhausting.
So we can be their voice. And if there are systemic issues, which we're all aware of, we all know the problems in aged care, and even with the Royal Commission, there'll be some positive things coming out of that. So our role is to help raise issues when they're very small, the tiny little issues that are irritating for everyone, and there's room for improvement. Or a good explanation, say, no, actually we've really thoroughly investigated this, and this is the only way, this is the best way we can serve you, and this is how we do it in our organisation. So sometimes just an explanation or even apology is enough, and we can facilitate that.
Okay. What are some of the issues that you get asked to resolve? Okay,
so the biggest one is communication, miscommunication, mixed cross wires. Aged care is a very complex system anyway, and everyone comes at different angles. So the rights, and also helping to interpret the Aged Care Act and the aspects of that. Abuse, we have many abuse calls, financial abuse from usually family members or other community members, sometimes aged care staff, but mostly these are outside. So if someone comes to an aged care facility or in their own home, they're still subject to all the pressures of family and psychological, emotional abuse and exploitation.
And it's really interesting that the work that people like Pat do and the 60 advocates across the country, it gets rolled up into, I suppose, the statistics, but it's these individual stories that we're hearing that we are able to bring up to, I suppose, the system as a whole to try to say what we're hearing from people. And that sort of also influences some of the work that we do with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, but also with organisations such as AXA, LADSA and the Aged Care Guild to sort of say, well, this is what we're hearing. Another one I find interesting is transparency on fees. That's really a big one at the moment, is that people are not understanding their home care package and the fees that go with that home care package and about what they're meant to contribute. And and often again it's about that communication. It's about, we've sent them a bill, but the bill wasn't in a way that the person understood. It's kind of what excites me about the Charter of Aged Care Rights, because if it starts to say we need to give people stuff in a way that they can understand, and we need to check that they can understand it. We shouldn't assume.
No, and we need to give them time as well.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes, as you mentioned, Pat, they may be frail, they may be vulnerable, they may be tired. If we land with everything all at once with this information that we understand, and this is new for them, and it's a new environment, and it's busy and different and frightening, I wouldn't take it on board either. So I think we need to give time.
And it's about individuals, so that's what we provide, independent and individual advocacy. The systemic stuff like the food, communication, accounts that don't make sense, no itemised accounts. By helping one or two people, we can raise that. And
it really changes the system.
Service providers can improve that. Oh, great, we've had 10 complaints about fees. We better do an itemised account, or we should communicate more in emails. Some family member said, well, I didn't know there was a residents meeting on.
It's often stopping that issue escalating, doesn't it?
That's right. So by the little things, the day-to-day things, we can make big changes. Choices in food, outings, activities, fees, all that. It's all good. Only good can come out of advocacy.
Absolutely.
Anyone raise issues, and then the staff, when you know about rights and management, you can say, no, that's not right. Now that we understand this, hey, come on, we need to look at things slightly differently for our consumers and recipients as well. So it's a great document. The standards match really well. Great times ahead.
And I think just on that point of the advocacy, we did some training last year. We've developed up some digital training resources which were on Altura and also available now on the OPAN website. And it's called Talk to Us First.
Okay.
And it's actually focused on aged care workers like yourselves. And the idea of it is to quickly unpack 3 scenarios that explain what an advocate does, an aged care advocate, and the advantage and how that can help resolve issues. And often issues that are more sometimes about families, isn't it, Maria? The family dynamics get into this quite a lot. So I'd encourage people to go and have a look at that training, and that sort of, and 1800 700 600 gets you an access to an advocate who can help you resolve issues for the person you're looking after.
Yeah, absolutely. Quite a powerful role. Yeah,
definitely.
Anything you want to add there, Maria?
I'm a community advocate. That's what people see me in my regional rural area as now, through my volunteer work. And I think it's like what we're discussing here. It's having that conversation, talking, nipping something, small in the bud at the start and being transparent about it. It's all about quality and improvement, and it's working together to achieve those goals. And family dynamics can get very difficult and complicated.
Tricky.
When you've got a daughter and a son and another daughter and everyone with their own views. So it isn't always easy for managers and staff.
Okay, excellent. So we're briefly just going to look at what are rights, overall what are rights. And look, we don't realise what rights we have, which we are very lucky in Australia, until they actually are infringed upon. I'm going to go to you, Craig, because I know you had a recent experience in regards to reflection, and a lot of it is personal reflection, isn't it, about the rights that you saw at the Jewish Museum?
Yeah, so we went along for a ceremony, a remembrance ceremony there from the Holocaust, and we were privileged to be taken through the museum and someone to sit and tell their story to us. And behind us on the wall was the history of human rights, so back through the establishment of the United Nations, even before then, and the conventions and why they're so important. And I think the conventions are almost like our Charter of Rights in some ways, where they are sitting there saying, we can all agree that these are the things that we'll come together around, that this will be your protection. So that the UN Charter on Disability, the rights of the disabled child or of children, it really starts to tell you what to expect. And it was hard to sort of, until you sit down and go, what is a right?
Yeah.
And it is about an expectation. As a citizen, I can expect to be treated this way. We had some kids who had written post-it notes there, and then their articulation of it was, I want to be respected. I want to be treated the same as you. And it was a really interesting insight. And it's only until they're gone with something like the Holocaust or something like that that you suddenly go, these are really important to uphold, to understand and to communicate that we've got these rights.
And I guess coming into an aged care facility sometimes can feel, often you've had an event that may bring you into an acute care setting, then you go into a rehab setting and then start utilising some form of aged care. It's a different time in your life, and it could be, I imagine, very frightening with infringements upon some of those human rights along the way.
Yeah, I think it's easy to forget the power difference. And I think for working in the health system, you forget that as well, because you're just going along and you're doing your tasks and things, and often doing to people, and with all the best intentions, and then you don't realise that that person almost has that passive recipient type role, and can feel ashamed, scared.
Don't want to bother anyone.
Don't want to bother anyone. So out of good intentions, not wanting to raise their voice because they think, they're just too busy. Whereas that power differential means that sometimes it's hard to speak up. And then you inadvertently might be infringing on their rights or not giving them what exactly that they want. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know there's been quite a few shifts where I've gone home and thought, if only I could have given her more time. I know she needed me to sit down.
Yeah, and we all know aged care workforce. Really, we know it's hard out there and it's time poor.
You do an amazing job.
Yeah, unsung heroes.
I agree. I agree. Alrighty, so we're now going to move into actually what is the Charter and the benefits of the Charter. The Charter, as we're all aware, is effective from the 1st of July. And it is a new and simpler Charter, and it incorporates the 14 rights of which we are discussing here today. I guess the benefits, do you want to go with that, Craig, sort of a little bit more about that Charter and the benefits that we feel, particularly with the workforce focus here today?
Sure.
Although it is about the consumer, they are at the centre.
Absolutely, and I think that's what, people have sort of, as we've started to talk about this, will be out at events and people will go, well, one, why do we need a charter?
Yep.
We treat everyone the same. Yeah, but this is about telling you that I will treat you the same. And sometimes, even though it might be assumed, we do need to actually say it. We're going to protect you, we're going to look after you, we're going to make sure you get high quality services, and we'll talk a bit more about the new, everyone probably knows about the new quality standards that are coming in, but these two are so interlinked together, and it's kind of why we want to be part of this, is because we see this as a way for the aged care system to really step forward and say this is the good care that we give, this is what you can expect from us.
Excellent. So, Marie, as consumer representative, how do you feel the Charter will actually benefit the people that you assist along the way?
I think it will, because it's all been simplified and rolled into one charter. It's put it all together. And it's also got some accountability for both parties, for the consumer and for the organisation as well. And it's a way of actually having that conversation and building that relationship between the client and the organisation. And I think, like, a couple of people have said to me, why do we need it? And another piece of paper to sign, and it's more time. We've got to start somewhere. Like with the Royal Commission happening at the moment, we need a framework. We need somewhere to start. And this is really going to be powerful for older people because, as we've said in conversation, there's still a lot of people out there that are not voicing up, or they're frightened. And this is giving them permission to say, or to think about it and say, well, I have got some rights here.
Yeah.
So I think it's really transparent, and it's a great starting point.
Beautifully put, thank you. And I agree, there are people out there. We met Maud the other day.
Yeah.
99.
99.
She was
that's
absolutely
right.
beautiful.
In Albury, if
in the most beautiful red jacket. That she was telling us about her story of how she's gone through, and she broke a hip, and you know that fall that always brings people into acute, and they'd start the journey. But she's never been on any medications, 99, and never been on any medications. And she left acute care with this big basket full of medications, and she kept saying, I don't want any, I don't need any Panadol once every now and then. She said they just wouldn't listen to me saying, no, I don't want it. She was so gorgeous. And I think there's a voice there that can teach us a hell of a lot.
I loved it, having a chat sitting next to her, and she couldn't actually, she couldn't see her eyes.
She was blind.
But she could recognise my voice.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, oh, Craig, that's you again. And and she said, oh, I was speaking to my doctor the other day, and he said, look, you've outgrown your eyes. That's what the problem is. And I thought, what a wonderful thing to say. You've outgrown your eyes.
She was so cute.
Yeah.
While we're talking about Albury, I just want to do a quick plug to anyone from Finley. Finley came. There were 4 representatives from Finley. That's 2.5 hours drive. They would have left at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're really big plug to Finley. Yay, way to go, guys. And it's such an indicator that there are so many wonderful carers out there and workforce that really want to bring this in.
Absolutely.
All right. So now we're talking about the quality aged care standards, but I do have quick Q&A. Why were resident responsibilities removed? Michael G. So who would like to take this?
Michael. I'm going to go first, and then I'm going to throw to Pat. So it's partly it was a purposeful thing, I think, that having a charter of rights is I suppose, more contemporary model of how we talk about rights. However, the thing is, everyone who's got a right, the person next to me, Maria here, has rights, I've got rights. So partly of my rights is to respect Maria's rights. We will talk about some resources that we have coming up, but some of those responsibilities are actually put in here. But in developing up the charter, it was thought that we want to make it easier to understand, and some of those things sit in other documents. So the responsibilities, like for someone to pay their bill, it actually is there. It just happens to be that it's part of consumer law. The right to a safe workplace, right to, if Maria's my home care worker, I have to treat her with respect as well, and in a safe way. So and not to infringe on her right for a safe workplace. So that's there, but it's articulated, and I think it's really good that the government's come out with this support booklet, which we'll talk about more a little bit later. But it does talk to people about that there. And I have to say, at the events, people were grabbing these. We've lost all our copies. We're printing more because they're so popular, because it does start to articulate how that balances and how in life that we've all live in a community and we've all got to be respectful. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Michael. I really appreciate that. So other guys, just get on board and give us some Q&A.
Can I pitch in here?
Go, pitch for it, Pat.
So yes, the responsibilities are actually full and effective use of all your rights is the first sentence there. So they have the rights of any other Australian. So these other support resources do support all the rights that they have. So they're Australian citizens. They come under state law, Australian law, international law. So all that's covered.
Yeah. So there's 4 pages in here that actually talk through the responsibilities of aged care recipients or consumers, as government speak. But,
and as advocates, we're not bound just by this. We'll talk about the whole person, as you say. It's a whole person with a life, 99 years of life. So we can consider them as an individual and talk about from their perspective what needs to be improved or what they need to voice, what they need to ask. So, and we'll definitely remind about their responsibilities to take their medication, see their doctor, change their doctor if they haven't got a very good bedside manner, if there's a choice of doctors in the rural and remote areas. And respect the staff, of course, we'll continue to talk about that as well. And respect each other, especially in an aged care home where you don't always get on with people. So that we'll still weave that into our presentations. It hasn't gone away, but it's just not on this charter. As you say, it's all about the rights here.
And it's important to put that person first, that older person who's lived that life for many years, and for them to understand that they are at the centre of the care and services they receive.
Absolutely. What a great opportunity for us all to sit down and actually learn, I think, new things about each other, particularly if you've been working with the same resident or consumer for some time. Sitting down and having this conversation may open things that you never knew about them, and I think that's wonderful. So as you said, Craig, the consumer is obviously at the centre of care, and they have the choice, it gives them choice and recognises that they're right to have respect and dignity. And it brings us to the aged care quality standards and how it and the Charter are actually aligned. And you spoke very, very eloquently about that earlier today. Could you do that again for us?
Replay.
What did I say there? So hopefully we've got the aged care quality standards little graphic that's come up on your screen now. It's a lovely pie chart, I suppose, in one way, but lovely that it puts the consumer right at the centre. Now, we might say, but we've always done that, and fair enough. But this is now, I suppose it is a bit of a game changer. And the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commissioner talks about out there, and I've heard her talk a number of times to say, this is change. Yes, this is looking at things from a different perspective. It's not just about the doing to people and the provision of services, but it's about the how and the why. So the consumer right at the centre, consumer dignity and choice, but it's also about how care is delivered, that you've got assessments and how they'll be delivered, that the consumer can expect the assessment to be focused on them and their needs, that it's about the clinical care that's delivered, that it's going to be high quality care and services. Now, I mean, that links really nicely back to the Charter of Aged Care Rights. We're saying we're going to give really high quality clinical care. Right number one, I have the right to high quality care and services. So it's really putting, and safe care and services as well. So it's really putting a nice link between those things. And things like feedback. I mean, it's so important to seek feedback from people. That's Standard 6. And this links so nicely with Standard 6 to talk about I've got the right to raise my issues and concerns without affecting the care I'm given. And so that gives people confidence to raise their voice. It gives advocates the role to actually go, come on, speak for yourself. You can do this. You can do it. Because we know if you stand up for yourself, you feel so much more empowered and so much more in control.
Absolutely. If you give the tools to be able to do so, the benefits of that for yourself is quite amazing.
And so there's a good reason that the Charter's coming out on 1 July, starts on 1 July, and that the new aged care quality standards start on 1 July as well. But we do realise that it is a lot of work and a lot of things happening at the same time for people. You must be hearing that, Pat.
We are hearing that, and we can be part of that too, coming and talking to your residents and families at their residents' meetings to reinforce what you're doing, what you're about to do, to sit with all the residents and home care recipients and show them this work through. And it'd be a great document. And also there's lots of questions like, when they first came out, providers were saying, you must sign this, you must sign that. Well, you don't have to. At the back it says you have explain it to you. This is our responsibility, our pledge to you, our promise to you to provide quality care and services and safety. And you may sign it if you wish.
From the consumer's perspective.
So from their perspective, they don't have to sign it. So long as you sign it and you document that you've sat and explained it to them on this day, and of course give them a copy, and then if they forget, you can say, no, we did this last week and you've got a copy right here. So
Shall we go over it again?
We can go over it again. You might have to go over quite a few times from different areas. So we could be one of those avenues to stress the importance of this document and the changes, because, if we could be any support for these changes in the next 6 months, then please contact us. We're free, available in every state. And if we can't come to you, we can go live, we can do Skype, we can do access other ways.
A webinar to your
we can.
Services and your staff.
Hey, want to be on a panel?
We can.
We'll bring you in.
Seriously, I'm trying. Okay. So we were talking about that aged care quality standards and the Charter and how they actually marry hand in hand. So one is the actual structures and the formulations and one is the actual beauty of the Charter of the rights, the individual, so that they weave together. We're going to move into what the 14 rights are. We're going to have a look at our explainer video. So one of the resources that OPAN has developed is the explainer video, and it really does quite simply state exactly what we're covering here in the webinar. So we'll let you enjoy that, and I love these characters.
From the 1st of July 2019, the Australian Government is introducing a new and simpler Charter of Aged Care Rights for anyone receiving aged care services. As a person receiving aged care, you have the same legal rights as all Australians. The Charter of Aged Care Rights add to these and are designed to help you by putting the focus on you, giving you choice and making sure you are treated with respect. This video aims to help you understand these rights and how you can exercise them. We'll go through them briefly now. However, you'll also receive a copy on paper and you can always ask for more information afterwards. Here's a quick look at all 14 of them. You have the right to safe and high-quality care and services. You have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. You have the right to have your identity, culture and diversity valued and supported. You have the right to live without abuse and neglect. You have the right to be informed about your care and services in a way you understand. And you have the right to have access to information about yourself, including information about your rights, care and services. You have the right to have control over and make choices about your care, personal and social life, including where choices involve personal risk. You have the right to have control over and to make decisions about the personal aspects of your daily life, financial affairs and possessions. You have the right to your independence. You have the right to be listened to and understood. You have the right to have a person of your choice, including an aged care advocate, support you or speak on your behalf. You have the right to complain, free from reprisal, and to have your complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. You have the right to personal privacy and to have your personal information protected. And finally, you have the right to exercise your rights without it adversely affecting the way you are treated. So, what's next? While you have these rights, you must respect the rights of others in the aged care community too. Everyone should feel safe and respected, and you may need to consider any existing care agreements previously made with your provider. Shortly, your provider will give you a copy of the Charter of Aged Care Rights. All Australian government-funded aged care providers have an obligation to explain these rights to you in a way that you understand. We recommend sharing the Charter with your family, friends, or anyone helping you with your care. This can be a great opportunity for you to discuss what's important to you. Discussing your rights and needs better enables those around you to help deliver the best care possible. Your provider will have already signed the Charter, showing that they understand your rights. If you're comfortable doing so, we recommend you sign the Charter too. By signing, you're showing to your provider that you also understand and recognise your rights. If you're not comfortable signing or you have concerns about your rights not being upheld, talk to your aged care provider, family, friend or carer. Don't worry, your services will not be affected if you choose not to sign the Charter. If you'd prefer to talk to an independent representative, contact OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, on 1800 700 600, or visit their website at opan.com.au. Alternatively, you can ask for more information, give feedback or raise a complaint about your services with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission by calling 1800 951 822 or by visiting agedcarequality.gov.au. The Charter of Aged Care Rights, proudly shared by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and quality aged care providers across Australia.
Excellent. Now, I know that you guys are probably having a little bit of technical difficulty in the webinar today. It's been pouring down here in Sydney. I've got my gumboots on. And so there's been some troubles with the video, but we will play it perhaps at the end of this so you can stay on and watch. But Craig, when are they available to World Wide Web?
This is the worldwide launch of our explainer videos. So the explainer video that was playing then was actually the consumer version, and there's one for providers as well. Very similar information, but just I suppose the style that you might want to use it in. So providers, you might want to sit down at a staff meeting or a tea room meeting, whatever the setting might be, and play this as an explanation to staff about what this all means. It goes, as you would have seen, some timeframes for implementation. Yep. It talks about how you can sit down. We'll talk a little bit more about some practical ways that you can do the implementation. But the videos are launched as of now. So they're up on the OPAN website, opan.com.au/charter. And the videos will be there, and we'll also put them on YouTube. So through AXA, Laser, Aged Care Guild, OPAN, the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission and the department will be pushing this out and letting people know that these are available. We'll talk about these other resources that are available as well, but share them around.
Share the hell out of it, I say. Yes, absolutely. Use that social media. Talking about social media, if I may, we're trying to get a project together where we're getting the voices of the older person throughout Australia, and we've had a few, and you will see Lila later this afternoon. But we've got lots of voices, and if you wish, video your consumer or yourselves having the conversation about the new Charter of Aged Care Rights. It must be filmed that they are consented and happy to be filmed. That's the most important part of it. Otherwise, we're breaching the rights and in one foul swoop. Foul swoop. Yeah, we want to actually protect those rights for privacy and confidentiality as well. It's very important as part of the Charter. Yeah, good. So, guys, now we're on to the exciting bit, talking about the favourite right. Now, I know it's really, really difficult, but I'm going to you, Pat, first and foremost. What is your favourite right? Okay,
so I don't want to lose any of these 14, but I'll stick with number 1 from my nursing background and from my own self. I think safe and high quality care and services incorporates everything that will make sure that the management and staff talk to me and ask me about my preferences, my medical needs, my health needs, when I want to rest or things like that. So I think I'll stick with that one. That'll incorporate all the others, I think. Independence, listening, being understood. I'm pretty happy to keep number 1.
Good on you. Excellent. Good. Maria, what's your favourite?
I like all of them because I think it's a flow through. Yeah. It's an umbrella. But I'm going to pick number 7. I'm a little bit of a rebel on risk, but I'm in a different situation.
The risk rebel.
The risk rebel. That I'm on the other side of the fence, not working within a residential care facility. And I guess when I go into a facility as a volunteer and run an event or do something, we take a few risks. I always do seek approval from the organisation, and I guess it's about enabling older people to be their individual selves and to make the choices and to live their lives. And I know it's a question that comes up all the time, but choking's a very big one, which is understandable with food.
Yeah, and we had Brian talking about that.
Yeah, and there is, a high level of duty of care. But there are other things too that there can be a lot of flexibility in, and if it's about enjoyment and quality of life. And I think if you if you document it and have the discussions, you know.
That came up in our Albury forum, didn't it? And it was about, how as providers do we deal with this, and how do we do it in a way that actually is respectful but at the same time protects our organisation, and don't want to get the lawyers involved, all that sort of thing. I understand that. And I think the really interesting thing is sit down and have the conversation. Have the conversation with the person. Give them their choices. Give them their options. And sometimes it's about, like, if you even taking risks, is, well, I want to risk not having this part of my home care package because I'd rather choose this part. And even in doing that, there's trade-offs. So as long as people have been made aware of the trade-offs, and I suppose that's been documented and explained, I think that can be an easy way for organisations to cover themselves while allowing the dignity of risk. Just because you get into your 70s, 80s, 90s, or like Merle, was it 99, to be able to still living at home, still be able to go out with a walker, even though she couldn't see. And I think that's about risk as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know a master builder who's in his late 80s and recently had another stroke and multiple cardiac problems. He's at home independent, but he loves ladders. He loves to get up them, and we're on warfarin. It's not a great idea that he's up scratching in the gutters, but we compromised and we got a shorter ladder. Yep. With some safety sort of things, and now he can go up that ladder as much times as he wants. So it's about that conversation and finding, mitigating some sort of even ground.
Yep.
All right.
Pardon the pun on even ground.
Yeah, I know.
I
boom, boom. All right, great. So we're now moving into signing, and I think across all webinars and across all community events, this has been the biggest thing, and I can assure you as well on text, this is the biggest question that comes through. So in regards to signing, is it a difficult process? Who can do it? Does the consumer have to sign it, or are they invited? These are the questions.
Go for it, Maria.
Oh,
I think
okay.
you're out there working in the area.
Well, look, I think the process, it does take a little bit more time. But I've felt if you do it properly in the way that you should and have the conversation. If you perhaps have a client that maybe has a little bit of dementia or can't hear you on the phone, we do have to have another way of having the conversation. And it's important that we're speaking in a language that is understood. It's really crucial because I might say dignity to a little Italian lady and what I speak my language, I don't understand, so it's how you do it. Sometimes you have to go through other avenues. It can be if someone has signed off and there is an advocate there as well, what we're talking about. A client is given permission to have that advocacy in place. That's an avenue. Through family, but then again, it's still got to be about the client's wishes and rights. That's really important. And I think by taking that extra time and doing it, and having that conversation, it's very empowering. It's enabling for that person, and it is about them.
And what a great opportunity to sit down and start exploring people's lives with them and having conversations with them. And it doesn't have to be done in one sitting.
No, I think that's the element there.
You can take a number of times. I am imagining, I suppose, that say I was a home care worker, I imagine you go with it on your phone. There's an explainer video for that. Take the explainer video on your phone, download it, say, look, we've got the charter here, you would have got posted it, here's another copy in case you have, here's the booklet that comes with it. Watch this, I'm going to go make you a cup of tea and start doing the care stuff or the home care stuff that you need, and let's come back and have a chat about it over a cuppa and see what it resonates with you. For me, that's one of the imperative rights in this, is the right to have things explained to you in that is easy and can be understood. There's two bits to that. It's easy in easy language, but that I actually understood it and that you're checking in to understand. So anyone can do that as long as they understand what the rights mean.
Yeah, and I think that's it, understanding what the rights mean. So there's some reflective practice for yourselves, I think, as workers. It's not that this is in no way a tick box. This is an understanding and reflective practice of what these rights mean to you, and then also what they mean to that wonderful person that you're caring for. And what an honour to be able to do that.
So person-centred. Yeah.
Totally.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think in the past we've talked about person-centred. This is really enabling it. It's
Yeah.
not just written on a piece of paper anymore. We actually have to action it. So
Yeah, it's all
real.
about actioning
It's
it.
real.
Yep.
So.
What do you think, Pat?
I think
I
it's
know
good.
you're busting to say
I am
something.
busting, so I'm wriggling away here. So I like the simple language that these are written in, and even in your first conversation, you can say, number 11, have a person of your choice, including an aged care advocate, support you and speak on your behalf. Say, practically, this is what you can do now. Next week you're going to invite your family member or yourself to sign this, but right now we're having some conversations. Do you want to ring someone and ask them any of these questions, what it means to you?
Yeah. And you can always ring OPAN, 1800 700 600, 8 till 8, Monday to Friday. That gets us through to Advocate. We've also got services that can help explain the Charter for people as well, if they want someone independent to do that. It doesn't have to be only you, but the provider has a responsibility, under legislation, has a responsibility to give a copy, to explain it, to make sure that the person understands and to sign that they've given it to the person. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And this could also move into advanced care directives. There's conversations about that, supported decision making, which several states, tri-states, help write some research about supported decision making, which are actually written in the guidelines here. Care planning. So from conversations from this document will lead into and feed into other aspects of your care. If you have your annual appraisal or review of care. So it opens up a lot of pathways. Like you said, have conversations you've never had. Oh, I've never sat down and spoke to this man. He's been in this facility for 5 years. So,
That's right.
And other staff members who may be bilingual can talk to other staff. It doesn't have to be the
They are
care
going to be
manager.
translated. So these booklets, they explain it.
18 languages?
18. Definitely know the Charter is in 18. We'll come back to this one and where it's available in a bit. But
Jumping the gun.
and the videos, again, I'll remind you that we're going to play the video at the end again for those that just might have chopped out a little bit with this weather. But they're a great tool to do it.
And it's interesting because Christine writes here that she's concerned not everyone has internet, but you can download it onto a tablet, take it to, if you're in community or home care, and take it to. If you're in residential, then there must be some way you have internet. I know I do rural and remote. I'm regional myself, and I understand that there are difficulties with NBN, but it's just going to somewhere and getting some internet service to download it onto a stick or something that you can take with you and play.
And we're going to chat about ways that we might have these on DVDs for those people who've got still DVD players and
There you
don't
go. I've still got one.
Yeah, exactly. I love my DVD player. So there are other ways that we'll have it available to get out there. But I think that's the easiest thing. Use your iPad, use your phone, other ways around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, just a few more questions. Therese, and I wonder if this is the Therese that came to the Workforce webinar the first time with some really great questions. So welcome back, Therese. Who is the authorised person who can sign on behalf of the consumer? I just want to make that clear. Who is the authorised person? And I think also someone else asked the same sort of question. I think that was Michael G. So, yeah.
Well, I think the first authorised person might be the person themselves,
Yes.
the consumer, and then they could let you know who their person is. You should know if they have a power of attorney or a guardian. So in this case, an enduring guardian or a guardian. There are different laws for every state. So or next of kin. So I'd have a chat with them first, and maybe your organisation who you're going to accept as that person. And if
Most people have an authorised rep documented in most times.
and if they don't, then it's a good
time.
Another good time to get one. Yeah.
Great.
The other one, Marie, that I'm hearing a lot about is can they add to the Charter?
yes.
That's
No,
the
I
other
have
one. I'm
heard
not sure
that
if anyone in the audience here has brought that one up yet.
Yeah.
But adding to the Charter, so people say, well, can we put it our rights because you live with us or you're being serviced by us? We're actually saying no, because we think the Charter is the Charter.
Charter
From 1
is the
July,
Charter.
the Charter is the Charter, the 14 rights are the 14 rights. However, if there are other things that people feel that they would like to communicate to someone, you can do that in maybe a code of conduct or a separate letter or cover letter or something like that. But it's important that this is seen as what's in legislation and this is the Charter. This is what's gone through and is part of the user principles of the Aged Care Act. So it's important not to add or detract from that. Keep this important. Don't put it down the back or just down the back in a funding agreement or a service agreement or contract. Bring this up front, have that. But if you want to actually explain or unpack other things, fine, do that. But just don't add to this document. It's been put in a template for that reason.
Yeah.
The other question I had was, can we add our logo to it? And I did check with the Department of Health, and they said, yes, as long as you have that wording. The wording is there for a reason,
wording.
but you can put it on your own logo, and you can actually, I suppose, have that, or have explaining this means to us, or what does this mean to you, sort of thing. Those sorts of things. But just have that first part, and there'll be translations of the charter itself that are available on the Department of Health website.
Beautiful. Excellent. Thanks for that. So I guess providers have a really integral role in supporting and training their staff. Would that be correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The responsibility is on the provider to explain this, and that's an added thing for them to do. But it's important that they are saying, we respect your rights.
Yep.
And here's our commitment to you.
Beautiful. Excellent. Okay, so we're now looking at the timeframes, and it's a busy time. We understand that in aged care, but it is an exciting time. It is a positive way forward where the consumer can start driving their care that they wish. So timelines, Craig, you always do this so much better than I do.
Okay, very quickly, if they're a new recipient of aged care, either a new home care package or new person coming into residential aged care, then this is the charter you start using from 1 July. If the person's a resident of your facility already, you have got till the 30th of September to do all these bits. Give them a copy, explain it to them, sit down, ask them if they've got any questions, take them through it. You sign, they sign. For home care, it's the 31st of December. And for Commonwealth Home Support, it's still being worked out a little bit at the moment, but there is recognition of sort of the impact. The amount of people that are receiving CHSP is huge.
Massive.
So that's still a bit under discussion.
Yeah.
But my challenge is, why wait till the 30th of whichever month that it is? Obviously, you've got that time, and that's what the aged care assessors will start looking at once they come out, like after those dates. But start the conversation early is my advice.
So many of the novel ways that we have found that workplaces are doing it are newsletter, that some people have already included things in their newsletter to all the residents, mailing out flyers when they're rural or more remote, having meetings and little education sessions within the residential aged care facility. So it's there's some great ideas happening out there. So we're now looking at some of the resources. These are wonderful webinars with people with a lot of experience out there. They're there for perpetuity on the website. Each one is slightly nuanced towards a different audience, but they all follow the same sort of structure, and they're full of information and tidbits. There is also the wonderful, wonderful explainer video that we have, and again, please download the hell out of that. Let's go to the resources that the Department of Health have provided here.
Yeah, so these are actually hot off the press.
Look out,
I think I'm allowed to share them. So they are smoking, they're so hot off the press. This is a really nice booklet, actually. I thought it's a lovely companion to have as you give the printed copy, that you actually have a short brochure that actually has some really lovely diagrams and pictures in there, some case studies about how the rights unpack. And then, as I said, there's 4 pages about where you can seek support, advice, some information about the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, and about some responsibilities as well. So currently these are available from the Department of Health's Aged Care section of their website for download, and printed copies will be available. The department will put up a notice on their website, and probably communications out in the normal way that they do about when they're available for order. So that's just still being fully worked through, but there is a downloadable copy. So I know people are ready and raring to go, and some people have even started this conversation. So the charter comes in from 1 July.
Yep.
That is the charter from 1 July. You can start your conversation now, but that signing should happen after 1 July.
Yep.
But these booklets are there to help support you do that work now.
Right.
Yeah, and go to opan.com.au/charter.
That's the one.
Yeah.
opan.com.au/the charter. Oh, just
Charter,
charter.
just charter.
Charter, my
Yep.
bad. Okay. I've got a few more here.
Yep.
Again, it's about the signing, and it's a similar wording than before. But, and I do apologise, I've just lost it. Does the person that signs have a legal guardian, or can it just be their carer or next of kin? Thanks, Jennifer. Again.
Does it have, sorry, if they have a guardian, do they all have to sign? Is that kind of the question?
Does the person that signed
Yes, have to be their guardian.
have a legal guardian, or can it just be their carer or next of kin?
The terminology I think that's on the form there, Pat, is authorised representative.
Representative.
So I suppose if someone's got some cognitive decline, for me the important thing is you still have the conversation with them.
Yes.
Because it's their rights. The person is, yes, authorised in saying, and I think we talk about this a lot about enduring power of attorney or guardian, those sorts of things. They're really, really privileged positions for people to have been allocated to work on behalf of the person. So in the same way that aged care advocates are really important to stand up for people's rights, these people are there to stand up for their rights as well. So, yeah, they can sign, and I suppose it's important if someone does have one that you, and we talked about in the video, bring those other people into the conversation as well. In one sense, the more the merrier, then everyone understands it.
I agree.
Document, yes, document. But yeah, I don't think it has to be one or the other, but someone, so most providers will have someone who's down as the authorised rep or someone to be notified. It is important to think about it under that context.
Yeah. And just quickly, can I actually butt in, and I'm not supposed to, but in regards to cognition, at different times of the day we may have varying cognitive abilities. So it's knowing the client or the consumer and understanding that, you know, morning time is much better or evening time is much better, and it comes back to that crucial 101 of really knowing the residents within your care, isn't it?
And having the patience to explain again, like you did yesterday and last week, and giving them a copy for their own file so they can have a look. So, there will be a little bit of patience. And
or by the bedside or on the fridge. Or
by the bedside, whatever.
Yep.
Where did we go the other day where they laminated them and had them by their bedside? That was at Wintringham.
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 One of the
great
homeless
guys from
service
Wintringham.
in Victoria, and they're really passionate about helping people stand up for their rights. So everyone gets a copy that's almost like in their drawer or right next to them, so they can actually say the stuff, listen here, and they do it well.
They do.
Passionate
particularly
questions.
Patricia. Gorgeous,
Yes.
Patricia.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one for you. Number 11, regarding aged care advocate, what is their scope to help? Is it just legal, complaints, or simply addressing concerns? Stacey T.
Great question, Stacey. So an advocate all around Australia, all the NACAP OPAN advocates can answer any of those questions and refer, if it is a legal question. 2 of our NACAP services and OPAN services are connected to a community legal centre, and the others access legal aid or their local ones. So we can handle any questions. The Aged Care Act itself is a legal document. We can advise on that, the rights and care and services. So anything in the Aged Care Act, we can give it information about that and then refer you to get legal advice if you need it. What was the other part of that?
Oh,
sorry,
I tuned out.
Also to help raise concerns and help make a complaint. If we can't help, if the management can't or won't help you, we can help raise a formal complaint. And, of course, you can't be treated any differently if you do speak up and make a complaint if you're not happy. So all of those things,
That's right, number 14, isn't it?
All of those things you can do. Even if you're having a conversation, someone will say, well, what does this right mean?
Yeah.
You say, well, who would you like to ask? A family member? Would you want an advocate to help you explore what that means for you? So we can be involved one-to-one. Please call us for that. I'm sure any OPAN member will take those questions, and then we can engage with you.
And they'll often do it it's pretty much only at the direction of the older person, the representative. So it's actually, what would them like
That's right. So if they're not,
you to do in that place? Yeah.
All those questions. And again, a lot of providers haven't met advocates yet. We've never utilised it. So this is a good thing. This is a positive thing. It's not about complaints or concerns, and we're an independent service. We're not the quality folks. So we're a good place to start.
And it's
part
free.
of that conversation, it's free. And we can join them by Skype. If we can't get to you face-to-face, we can hopefully come out face-to-face and meet with people too. But, a little question, just one, I've got a question, what does this one mean? And then we can take it offline and say, what does it mean to you, dignity? Could mean different things to all of us. So definitely involve us for all of these things. Yes, thanks for that, Stacey.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for that, Stacey. That was a great question. So we're just going to quickly look at resources. Now, we thought we should go through a really quick step-by-step process because the biggest thing we're getting from the workforce is how. How do we do this? This feels enormous. What is it that we have to do? What's the expectation of the department or the expectation of OPAN or the expectation of your boss? And sometimes you are in a time-critical environment. So it was just about how is it best for you as the workforce to actually do this? So some of the things we brainstormed on a bit earlier was the environment. What sort of environment should this be delivered in, do you think? If you've got 30 to 100 residents and you want to capture your particular ones that you're looking after for the day, should it be right in front of the telly or what do you think, guys?
Quiet spot, I think, a quiet area away from everyone at a time that suits the resident and their needs. Not to be rushed, as you said before, plenty of time. Pick a time. If it's not the right time, wait a week or a month. You've got plenty of time.
Take it in chunks as well.
I was going to say I'm thinking.
The way our videos could be available is that videos also can be stopped and started at different parts. So you could take them through a few rights. So today's morning tea is going to be about rights 1 to 4. And do that. We've got a great thing about Lila, who you didn't you? Who Love to read her rights out to each other. So there's no also reason that it has to be the provider has the responsibility to take it through, but you can engage the group of consumers or residents in being part of this. Peer education is really powerful.
They were actually thinking of having the residents drive the education of it. And so they were like really excited. They were getting together and like who's the secretary and who's the...
residents' meetings would be a great place to do it as well.
They really own it. That's often what we get. Oh, we have rights, do we? That's whether they're tongue-in-cheek or they're serious. It's like, so if this makes them own it and they can drive it for you.
Empowerment. Yeah, absolutely. One of the other big ones we had was you need to prepare yourself if you're going to be talking about the Charter and rights and rights itself. I think that takes a bit of personal reflection, doesn't it?
I like what you said before, Marie, about reflective practice. We've all got that sort of responsibility to go, can I tell someone about this in a way that they're going to understand? Do I understand it myself?
Even myself, since I've been doing this, I have changed components of my care. I did night duty the other night and I really had to stop and think, actually, do I need to do what I was about to do at that particular time? No, I should be doing it in more bundled care and whatnot. So, time, don't rush. Yes. And perhaps leave it with the information with the resident or consumer or client and let them make informed decisions and think about it and toy about it, as we've done most of our lives, isn't it, when we make informed decisions? Have a cup of tea. That's a good one. Invite anyone that's the support person. Use the videos. And I think what's really, really pivotal is that we always remember that it's about the consumer and about their aged care. And it's not fitting in the facility, fitting into the roster timeframes or whatnot. It's about them driving the care that they wish to have.
And just a reminder that the responsibility is on the provider.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that isn't a process of engaging lots of people in this process and doing this. Great opportunity for conversations.
Absolutely. Well, that's pretty much a wrap for today. Are there any extras that you want to add in? I can see.
I'm just thinking we do have one more webinar coming up.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what day that is.
It's Wednesday.
Is Wednesday.
At 9.
Thank you.
10.
10 o'clock Eastern time. So if there's people who haven't been able to come along today, they're much welcome to come along on Wednesday.
Yeah.
There are a few community events that are still coming up. Look on the website for those. Across South Australia, WA, Queensland and Hobart and South Australia. So, we are going to come to the NT as well at some point. So we're just having those community events. Providers, aged care workforce, you're most welcome to come along as well. We'd encourage you to bring an older person with you because we want them to be there as well. So come along to those events, get a bus. We're happy to chip in a bit for the bus as well. We'd love to have as many people there as possible. So again, opan.com.au/charter. Those events are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Videos are there. The webinars are there. Please use the resources. Email us on inquiries@opan.com.au. And as Marie was talking about, if you get the chance to sit down with someone and start a conversation with them, and they want to, get them to film on their phone and send it to us at inquiries@opan.com.au about what a right means to them, or what it means to you as an aged care worker. Really privileged position to be able to be the champion custodian of rights here and to support people getting the great care we know you give them. So thank you.
And keep up the hard work. You do an amazing job. I'd like to thank our panel here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic input today. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone joining us. We hope that you've had a educative session, and we'll play the video as we leave you, and hopefully there's no technical difficulties. Please contact us if you have any questions, and the national number, 1800 700 600. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
From the 1st of July 2019, the Australian Government is introducing a new and simpler Charter of Aged Care Rights for anyone receiving aged care services. As a person receiving aged care, you have the same legal rights as all Australians. The Charter of Aged Care Rights add to these and are designed to help you by putting the focus on you, giving you choice and making sure you are treated with respect. This video aims to help you understand these rights and how you can exercise them. We'll go through them briefly now. However, you'll also receive a copy on paper and you can always ask for more information afterwards. Here's a quick look at all 14 of them. You have the right to safe and high-quality care and services. You have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. You have the right to have your identity, culture, and diversity valued and supported. You have the right to live without abuse and neglect. You have the right to be informed about your care and services in a way you understand. And you have the right to have access to information about yourself, including information about your rights, care and services. You have the right to have control over and make choices about your care, personal and social life, including where choices involve personal risk. You have the right to have control over and to make decisions about the personal aspects of your daily life, financial affairs, and possessions. You have the right to your independence. You have the right to be listened to and understood. You have the right to have a person of your choice, including an aged care advocate, support you or speak on your behalf. You have the right to complain, free from reprisal, and to have your complaints dealt with fairly and promptly. You have the right to personal privacy and to have your personal information protected. And finally, you have the right to exercise your rights without it adversely affecting the way you are treated. So, what's next? While you have these rights, you must respect the rights of others in the aged care community too. Everyone should feel safe and respected, and you may need to consider any existing care agreements previously made with your provider. Shortly, your provider will give you a copy of the Charter of Aged Care Rights. All Australian government-funded aged care providers have an obligation to explain these rights to you in a way that you understand. We recommend sharing the Charter with your family, friends, or anyone helping you with your care. This can be a great opportunity for you to discuss what's important to you. Discussing your rights and needs better enables those around you to help deliver the best care possible. Your provider will have already signed the Charter, showing that they understand your rights. If you're comfortable doing so, we recommend you sign the Charter too. By signing, you're showing to your provider that you also understand and recognise your rights. If you're not comfortable signing or you have concerns about your rights not being upheld, talk to your aged care provider, family, friend or carer. Don't worry, your services will not be affected if you choose not to sign the Charter. If you'd prefer to talk to an independent representative, contact OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, on 1800 700 600, or visit their website at opan.com.au. Alternatively, you can ask for more information, give feedback or raise a complaint about your services with the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission by calling 1800 951 822 or by visiting agedcarequality.gov.au. The Charter of Aged Care Rights, proudly shared by OPAN, the Older Persons Advocacy Network, and quality aged care providers across Australia.